Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Asian Football Show. This is episode 15. Already 15 episodes. We are putting a lot of content out for the Asian Cup here. In today's episode, we are joined by the man himself, Nick Watanabe. My man, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
And in today's episode, we're going to go through the round of 16 that just concluded yesterday. A lot of stuff have been going on. It's been a very interesting round of 16, I would say, at least. A lot of stuff have been going on. And we're going to start with the first game right here, which happened between Tajikistan and the Emirates. The game ended 1-1, but went all the way to penalties, in which Tajikistan got the job done. And it is fair to say that this is Tajikistan's first ever appearance at an Asian Cup, and they've made it all the way to the they're now quarterfinalists. And it's impressive to see, as UAE is not an amazing team, but it's not a bad team at all. And for Tajikistan to go ahead and do the job done is very, very impressive. Vahdat Hananov, the Persepolis defender, got the job done. He scored the first goal in the 30th minute, and they couldn't hang on all the way until the 95th minute as Khalifa Al-Hamadi scored the goal for the Emirates. They made the job a little bit difficult, but they did it. What do you think, Nick? What do you think about this game? Very interesting matchup.
I had almost heartbreak when Al Hamadi scored. Nothing against UAE, but I like to cheer for the underdog, which is going to seem ironic that I'm also the Japan supporter in this, right? But I think Tajikistan has done an amazing job throughout this entire tournament. Debutantes, and now here they are. They're dancing in the last eight. Can they go further? That's a big question. They seem to have good structure and good discipline, but we saw that it also fell apart at the exact wrong moment for them. They did manage to regroup, which shows resilience. I honestly thought once UAE scored that, I was like, this is over. UAE is going to come out and just smash them in extra time. They're gassed. It's not going to happen. I was proven wrong, and gladly so, right? So I think that we see that winning a match in Asia is not as easy as people think it is. And we're going to have multiple discussions about that, I think, as we go through all of these matches. Matches we thought were, I won't say for certain, but looked like they should swing one way, did not go the way we thought in many cases. And man, Asian Cup, the land of extra time and injury time goals, right? It's just incredible how many of them we've got. I mean, like most of the, I won't say most, but didn't the majority of the round of 16 have a injury time goal?
Yeah, it did. It did. So they're going to be facing off Jordan, a team that surprisingly beat Iraq. I think, after what Iraq's done in the group stages, which is beat Nick Watanabe's Japanese national team, I guess a lot of them, had a lot more, they've had a lot more confidence coming into this Jordan game. If you can beat pretty much the best team in Asia, that means you can go for the whole thing, right? Unfortunately for them, Jordan, in what was the most controversial game in the whole tournament, I guess it's really fair to say, pulled up with a 97th minute winner and won the game. I think the hero in that game was the Iranian referee, Farhani, which we're going to talk about in a bit. Listen, I was watching this game and I couldn't believe my eyes, right? I was surprised. I didn't know what to say. It's one of those games where, like, a referee decision changes the whole dynamic of the game. And that's what exactly happened. So Jordan get the first goal, courtesy of a Al-Namat goal, but very good goal in the 45th minute +1, if I'm not mistaken, going into the second half. And then, from then, Iraq sort of wake up. They do score 2 goals, courtesy of a Naji and a Ayman Hussein, which have been on fire, by the way. He scores it. Now, Ayman Hussein gets a first yellow card in the first half for, I guess you can say dissent. There's been a lot of stuff that a lot of Iraqi fans have been saying on social media about it, whether it's a good call or not. But then comes into the second yellow card, which comes immediately after he scores the goal to, I guess, when they got into the lead 2-1 at that point. And I don't want to go into the celebrations and all. If you guys have missed it, essentially the Jordan goal, the first goal, they celebrated by eating, or not eating, but mimicking them eating something called mansaf. And Ayman Hussein, I guess, thought it was a brilliant idea to do the same thing. Yeah, Farhani was having none of it, gave him that second yellow card. And that's the end of the story. Ayman Hussein off, and Iraq were playing with 10 men from then on. And then two late injury minute goals give Jordan the lead and wins them the game. Now, I want to ask you, Nick, first of all, it's very controversial. There's going to be people that are going to agree with it and people that are not going to agree with it. Do you believe that was a yellow card? What is your take on this?
So I've seen multiple views of this, and in fact, I've seen Japanese translations where in Japan and Japanese they're actually discussing Mansaf and whether his version of it was an insult, including right hand versus left hand, all of these things. Like, is that deep enough, and will the referee actually be able to see that, or was it actually him taunting the Jordanian fans before that? Because before he goes into that, he taunted them, and so there's all kinds of discussion about should it be a yellow card. I think it shouldn't be. I'm gonna just be 100% honest. I'm of the let's have a little bit of fun. Let's have a little bit of banter. There is times where you go overboard. Yes, you should be carded, but I grew up in the good old days where you could take off your shirt and run around and show messages and have all kinds of fun stuff. But FIFA tightened that, right? We can't have all these fun celebrations now, so we have to be creative. And if he gets a yellow card for that, should we have seen yellow cards in the Brentford Tottenham match yesterday, where everybody's doing the dart throwing celebration back and forth? Like, okay, let's just start carding everybody then, if that's what we're going to do. But what is the FIFA rule? I don't know. There has to be some consistency, right? If one group can do it, why can't the other group? That's an important question I think referees will have to face, and that will do whatever it did. It knocked out my favorite for the Golden Boot. I thought he was going to win the Golden Boot. He was just on incredible form. This is the kind of performance that I hope can elevate him, maybe even start getting him that attention he deserves. And maybe, we can see a transfer in his future. Who knows? And we'll talk about this, right? Is, who should be getting transferred? Who should be getting some, spotlight in this? People make fun of, AFCON for the hijinks, but I just want to say Asian Cup, we got it too. We got it too. It's not just AFCON.
AFCON is just a whole other universe. I mean, all the favorites are realistically knocked out, I think, except for Ivory Coast, who they were on the brink,
and Nigeria.
and Nigeria as well. And Ivory Coast, they were on the brink of getting eliminated themselves as well. And I think
as both.
Yeah, and so this is my opinion on the Ayman Hussein whole situation is if you're playing by the book, purely based off of the rules, I guess it's a yellow card. But would you really then give it in that moment? Like, how different the match can be, and it influences the game, which it did. And to do that, if I was the referee, I would have ignored the book and I would be like, just play on. Because in the game with Iran and the UAE, where there was like the whole crying stuff, none of the players got a yellow card for that, right? So I guess there's no consistency, as you mentioned. There is no consistency, and I feel like he made a mistake giving that card. I feel like he should have just let it play. But like, I can also understand why he gave it, because he's playing by the rules. But it's unfortunate if you're an Iraqi fan. I mean, I'm Iranian, so for me it's amazing news. But it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, it happens. It's football. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the referee. His Instagram got suspended. He got doxxed and stuff. Guys, we don't want to see things like this. It's a football game at the end of the day. Relax. No one's dead. It's football. We should all calm down, and it's stuff that happens, right? It's not the first time we've seen controversial decisions like these. So that's going to be the matchup now. Tajikistan against Jordan. I think Tajikistan can win this. From what they've shown against that UAE game, they are a very resilient team. Jordan, a lot more offensive team. So we're going to have to see whether Musa Al-Tamari and Al-Naimat and these guys are going to have to step up. My prediction for that Tajikistan-Jordan matchup, I'm going to back up the Tajikistan boys. And I don't know, 1-0, something like that. Or maybe it goes to penalties again, something like that. What do you think, Nick?
I actually think it's a pretty good one. I'm going to actually flip it, though. I think Jordan's riding on a high. I think it's going to be 1-0 to them. I just don't know if Tajikistan can do it this many times. I feel like they're dodging the bullet each time, right? And they're just like barely getting by at the skin of their teeth. That eventually catches up to you at a major tournament. But you could say the same for Jordan too. I mean, if they don't have that yellow card, I do not think they're advancing, right? If we don't have Hussein sent off, we're definitely talking about Iraq's through. Are they going to do a repeat of what they've done before, right? Okay, they can win the cup. uh, CBS Sports, right? They've actually won an Asian Cup.
I mean, there is also other debates of saying that that red card actually didn't affect the game that much, as the defense has no excuse in conceding 2 goals in what was it, 2 minutes, 30 seconds? I don't even know. Which,
yeah, it was a minute and a half because it was 95th and 97th. It was like literally bang bang. Like,
which I do tend to agree in some way. I mean, letting 2 goals in such a short amount of space, you can't blame a red card for that, right? And then the whole Iraqi defense was there anyways. But that's that for the Jordan game. And Tajikistan. So welcome to the Asian Football Show, where I give very amazing predictions and fun predictions, and we got a guest like Nick who gives out boring predictions.
whoa.
No, I'm kidding. So yeah, that's that. It's gonna be a cracker of a game, happening tomorrow as a time of recording, and moves on to the next matchup here: Australia versus Indonesia. Now, Australia, I think it's also very fair to say that they haven't really been impressive this Asian Cup either. But in this 4-0 victory against Indonesia, I think they played well. I mean, they had that one amazing performance in them, and it showed against Indonesia. There was an own goal by Alkan Baggett, and then Martin Boyle, Goodwin, and Sutar getting the goals for Australia. Nothing really else to add for this game. Indonesia weren't really threatening. It was expected of Indonesia to probably not win the game, but 4-0, I wasn't really expecting that.
No, in fact, I think Indonesia gave their worst performance above all the matches. I mean, if you looked at how they played against Vietnam, they were out there, they were pushing, they were pressing, they were doing everything, right? And then all of a sudden, what is this? It's like and I think that early own goal deflated them. They're like, oh man, the luck's not our way. And they really just didn't look the same. I mean, they've played well. They've pressed. I've liked how fast and dynamic they've been on defense, but this match, they just looked like we have no business being here. I don't think this Australia team's that amazing either. This is probably one of the weaker ones we've had of the last decade. And yet here they are, right? And we have to start paying attention to them. And then we're going to have some of our friends and some of our Twitter chats starting to petition that Asia should kick Australia out again. So, hey, I mean, I'd almost say it makes sense with the expanded World Cup format. Wasn't that the whole point of bringing Australia in, was to grab that extra full slot in the World Cup?
Pretty much.
With the expanded World Cup, do we even need that anymore? Oceania's going to get a slot, send them back, let them in New Zealand do battle, and we can figure this out. And I also say that for the travel. I mean, those flights to Australia for almost everybody but the Southeast Asian teams is just a nightmare, right? Japan flying 12 hours to Sydney, 14 hours to Sydney to play a qualifier. It's ridiculous. That's why we divided East-West. And now this is what we've got. It's, but that's a different story. Australia, they look good. I think this is the end of the road. We'll preview that one in the next one, though.
And we move on to the most exciting game as a neutral: South Korea versus Saudi Arabia. The game ended 1-1. Saudi Arabia were this close of winning the game until Yu Sung-chul scored that header in the 99th minute, pushing the game to penalties, in which South Korea have won. You gotta feel bad for Saudi Arabia because, listen, I wouldn't say that they've necessarily been amazing. They've definitely been better than Australia per se. I've had this discussion with Erfan, but the potential is there. There's a lot of players that are performing, and there's a lot of players that are not performing. Players like Sanem Al-Dasari, even him getting the assist, I think in general he's been pretty poor. The Saudi keeper's been amazing the whole tournament. Players like Mohamed Kano, very good, and Abdul Hamid as well. The Al Hilal, what is he? I think he's a fullback, and you've got these players who are consistent, not the ones that everyone were expecting to, but this Saudi Arabian team wasn't awful by any means. And South Korea, on the other hand, that finished second in their group stage, I don't know if I want to say they were good. I don't think they were good, but I don't think they were like awful, awful, awful either. Jurgen Klinsmann is Jurgen Klinsmann. I've said what I have to say about him plenty of times. I don't think he's the right manager for South Korea, but yeah, Korea did get saved by that header. They got in, they won the game. Heung-min Son stinker, which I think Nick enjoyed a lot. And yeah, that's it for that. What do you think?
Can we be like 100% honest here? Like South Korea has got bailed out consistently through this tournament. Against Jordan, they got bailed out by that last minute squeaking in own goal, right? That was like the 91st minute. The Malaysia match was just a whole nother world of chaos. It probably should have just ended 2-2, but then we had right Son scoring the penalty and then Malaysia getting the 105th minute winner in a normal time match. That just seems crazy. You got to love the new injury times. No, South Korea's underperformed. If I was to highlight what this match was, it was really the matchup of the two coaches who got paid a lot of money to come in and clearly don't belong here. I have no idea what they're doing. It looks like they both got a paycheck. Klinsmann doesn't even live in Korea. It's absolutely just stunning. Actually, not stunning. I mean, he lives in California, right? He even wanted to live in California when he was working with Germany. So I'm still baffled by the hiring by South Korea. It just doesn't make sense with what he's doing. But yeah, I would say of the two, South Korea has been playing a lot worse football, and yet Klinsmann gets saved yet again. As a Japan fan, obviously with Korea as our natural rivals, it's that case where I want him to stay because the more he stays, I think the more they're going to have these not very good performances. This could save his job if he beats Australia and he gets into a semifinal. This can save his job. He can say, "Look, I got us into a semifinal. We haven't won in over 50 years. I got us really close. We're on the brink. You just need to stick with me for another 4 years. We're going to do it." And people might be dumb enough to fall for that. And, I like watching Korean football, and I really don't want him to stay because, yeah, Son dropped a stinker, but Lee Kung-ying, he does not need to be having to play under Klinsmann, right? He needs good time with the national team and somebody who's going to use him to his maximum potential. He could be the real star. People talk Kubo Mitoma. No, I think Lee is really has the talent and ability and drive that he could be that next Sun level player or even better. I would hope he'd be better. So Saudi Arabia, you just have to feel bad for them. They did everything right. And then just terrible luck, right? We had a bunch of those balls bouncing off of posts, off the woodwork, header in the 99th minute, and then the penalties go bad. And here's I think that one of the highlights, Mancini just walks away. Penalties aren't even over, and the guy
Yeah,
walks off the field
I
like
was
a
about to talk
bozo.
about that. Yeah,
Go
like
home. Go
it's
home, bozo.
yeah, it's I don't know. It's disrespectful to do that. He has since apologized on Twitter, I think, which is
On Twitter.
on
Oh,
Twitter.
great.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's some very weird stuff. I don't understand why he did that. You don't turn your back like that to your players, no matter what. But this sets up for an amazing quarterfinal: Australia, Korea, and the predictions for this game. I don't know, man. This could go either way. Um, Australia's been really disappointing. I would tend to incline towards Korea. Maybe they'll like sneak in another header, a 99th minute header again. I don't know. Something similar to that, like a 1-0 cheeky little win, and then Jurgen Klinsmann gets saved once again. What do you think?
I think Korea 3, Australia 1. Lee's going to have a wonder match.
Speaking of, you were talking about the talents. I'm as an Iranian, I'm quite offended that you didn't add one of the greatest talents of world football, Mehdi Ghaedi, someone that I love dearly and have never disrespected in the past. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. So that's it. Australia, Korea, wants to watch a blockbuster game. So is going to be the next game, which is going to be between Iran and Japan. I don't want to go through this. Can we just skip this part? So Iran, Syria, right? I think I've aged 80 years watching that. I had like three different mental breakdowns. Like I was banging my head on the desk, I was screaming, I was delusional, I was happy, I was sad, angry. I was going through the 5 stages of grief during the game. I don't know what the hell that game even was. Um, you know, as an Iranian myself, right? Like I wasn't expecting us to win this Asian Cup in the beginning, but I wasn't expecting us to do this bad. A lot of things went wrong in that game. Number one, starting with the lineup. I don't understand why Nourizadeh didn't start. And it's weird because against Palestine, we were amazing. And then against Hong Kong, we dropped a stinger. And then against UAE, we were amazing. I think Ghalinoi like kind of finally figured out his lineup. But then in the game against not Palestine, sorry, Syria, he changed the formation yet again with putting in John Bashin and Ruzbeh Chishmi, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. But all I'm saying is, listen, we did well against Palestine. We didn't do well against Hong Kong. We did well against the UAE. We didn't do well against Syria. Just saying, potentially, if that's how it's going to work, maybe, God willing, we will do well against Japan. Anyways, there's a lot to talk about this game. Taremi red card, the biggest talking point. I mean, how unlucky can you be, right? He's missing back-to-back games against Japan, and it's surprising that he's the one getting the red card out of all of the players, considering he's probably the most, I wouldn't say mature, but the most disciplined out of
Most experienced.
Yeah,
No, he plays in the big stage. If you did this in Europe, you're toast.
Exactly. And it's not his first time getting red cards. He has gotten red cards for very weird reasons. But I was disappointed. I wouldn't necessarily blame everything on Taremi for that, because if anyone has watched the game, the center back Ruzbeh Chishmi, this guy was literally in the box leading, I don't know what the hell he was even trying to do. So that forced Taremi to go back because Chishmi wasn't there to cover his man. And so he had to do a tackle because Syria were throwing goal. And then that was the end of that. There's been an appeal for the first yellow card because the Iranian national team is claiming he wasn't trying to dive, which he was. Let's not try to hide this. He was. And yeah, that's our best player gone against an already broken Iranian side, which has had so much injuries. There's been news that Majid Hoseiny is also injured. Sadel Maharami, he is also injured. So a lot of the players that were inclined to do well against a team like Japan are all gone. So that's all of our aces gone. So we did get the job done against Syria in a penalty shootout, which I will give this. I don't give much to the Iranian national team. I think the penalties that we scored were absolutely amazing. I think it does show that if we ever do end up in a scenario that we're in a penalty shootout, I think we would have some sort of advantage, which is experience. Syria, they fought really hard, man. They're a very annoying team to play just in general. And Omar Khaibin, there was rumors of him not starting the game at all due to injury. He did, and he scored a penalty. So that's that. Game ended 1-1, 5-3 on penalties. Thank God that game is over. But as an Iranian, I'm not happy at all. But as a Japanese fan, Nick, I think you're very happy with what's going on. So let us know what you think.
Mixed feelings here. I mean, on one hand, I want us to win the Asian Cup, but on the other hand, do I really? I mean, yes, it's great if we win, but I really want to see how Japan stacks up to probably the best striker in Asia, right? Can we defend him? No, this is the honest, legitimate question that I think Japan's defense has had a big problem dealing with strikers like him. And now we're missing him twice in a row. We still don't answer this question. And that's not just for playing versus Iran, that's versus any team that has a big, powerful striker. Like if we face Nigeria in the World Cup, are we going to handle Osimhen? No, we're not. I don't think we can. We can handle these quick, agile guys. We showed that versus Germany, right? We can handle Asane, but I don't know if we can handle a more powerful, top-notch, great level finishing striker. We did handle Lewandowski in the World Cup back ago. What was that? Which World Cup was that? 2018? Yeah, 2018. It's so long ago now. We handled him, but it was more a sense that Poland just couldn't create anything for him. That was unfortunate. I think both Iran and Japan's biggest problem is our coach. Mixing lineups, mixing formations. We never know who's going to appear one day, right? For you, who's going to appear, Asano may or may not appear for Japan in this next round. We have no idea. we have no idea who's going to start in the attack. And I think at this level, you shouldn't be figuring this out in the knockout stage. You shouldn't be figuring this out in the knockout stage of the Asian Cup. It's not a joke anymore. And you saw what happened. That tinkering almost cost you and would have cost him the job, right? He would have been, wouldn't he have been axed if they lost there?
Yeah, probably. Now, I mean, if I can get a take on the Japanese national side, I think they've been not as good as I expected. I mean, I think everyone was expecting them to just smash every single team in that group. Didn't happen. Is it a case of them perhaps not taking the competition seriously, or is it a coach, as you say? In some way, I see it as it's a proper competition. It's not a friendly, right? Players are from other teams are gonna go, they're gonna give their all to try and stop the best team in Asia, right?
Yeah.
And we're not gonna get too much into it, but I'm sure a lot of you have heard of what happened with Japanese player Junya Ito. We're not going to get into what happened, whether that's true or not, but he's not going to be at the Asian Cup anymore. And Ryo Hatate, if I'm not mistaken, is also injured. Is it confirmed that he's out for the game or not yet?
I don't know, but I saw somebody say he might be out for the cup. So, I mean, it might be he needs to go back to Celtic and rehab. So, and that's been a weird position because, you know, Moriyasu for so long didn't ever want to even seem to call him up, then didn't want to seem to use him. And then all of a sudden now he's a starter and then he injures himself. And that's unfortunate.
So one thing I wanna talk to you about this. So surprisingly, Japan has conceded in every single game in this Asian Cup, right?
Yes.
Something that is I wouldn't say unusual, but it's definitely scary because it's not like you guys have played, with all due respect, amazing opposition. Does that scare you against a team like Iran, who I would say if they do have the chance to score, they kind of will, but doesn't that scare you, especially with a shaky keeper in Zion Suzuki? Are you scared of him just dropping another stinker, or?
This is football heritage. This is football heritage. Do you not remember Japan's group stage in 2019? 3-2 to Turkmenistan?
Yeah.
2-1 to Uzbekistan? No, we were dropping points left and right. We looked pretty disastrous. We got a 1-0 squeak by Saudi Arabia. We got 1-0 against Vietnam. Then that Japan-Iran match that you probably don't want to talk about happened. And then we got blown out by.
I don't know what you're talking about. That game did not happen. But moving on to the Bahrain-Japan game, which Bahrain weren't all that, but they still managed to score. I mean, it wasn't really them, it was mostly Japan. Ayasu Ueda and Zion Suzuki just.
Can we talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you take center stage.
Japan should not have conceded. That was just, I think Zion, he is a good keeper. He needs more time. Asian Cup probably wasn't the place to give him his big debut. They needed to, work him in a little bit more in the national team. And then he finally had that clean sheet. All right, here we go. And then that ball, right? He parries it, but he knows he can go and catch it. And then Ayasu Ueda goes smashing into him, and then we have an own goal. And everybody starts yelling at him again, right? Look, Zion Suzuki of Little Rock, Arkansas. That's always a strange one to me. But Zion Suzuki gets blamed again. And in that one, I don't really think he's fully to blame. And it's bad luck. Am I worried against this next match? Yes. Yes, I am worried. And I'm more worried because I think our defensive structure just hasn't been as good as it's been before. Not as much discipline, and I think some of the backtracking's lacking too. If you look at it, yes, some of our goals that we conceded, they're just poor goalkeeping. But there's ones where there's also some poor defending that's leading to these moments. So I am concerned because I think Japan's not fully putting it together yet this tournament. And I don't know if that's because of where we are in the European season, that they're just tired, that they didn't have enough time beforehand. But, I think it's a lot of the problems right now.
Yeah, I'll take out some of the positives from this game. I think Mitoma finally came in with that beautiful touch. Everyone's talking about it. So I don't want to see Mitoma destroy my defenders, man. It's gonna be a bloodbath. And then another one, Seiya Maikuma, the Osaka defender. I think he's been the best fullback there. Well, not fullback, right back for Japan. And it's weird to say that considering you guys have, Sugawara. I think everyone expected him to be that guy leading Japan into that right back position, but yeah, he's been very poor. What do you think about that?
I would still argue Tomiyasu is actually our best right back, but just because of the levels of our center backs, he has to play center back. So, but no, I think Maikuma's gonna make Sugawara start to have to run for his money. I mean, he had a great performance last season, right, in Holland. This season, he had a good start, but it's sort of fallen off lately and it's starting to look a little worrying for him. I think maybe not at the level, and you have enough of these Japanese, right, like right backs and left backs coming up through the ranks, getting these pretty big transfers that all of a sudden, right, someone like Sakamoto could be taking over the position as the second, right? Because he's a little more defensive than they want at right wing, maybe more of a right mid, but could also probably play that right back position. He's got too good of a goal scoring record to put him there, but there's all kinds of other players that they could be looking at. So, if I'm Sugawara, I'd start to worry.
So now we come to the Iran Japan game, the holy game, game that I'm gonna get made fun of by all my Japanese friends, my girlfriend, you, literally everyone. It's over for me. I will be finished that day. I'm gonna wake up at 6:30 in the morning to watch Iran get destroyed. Um, the way I see it, listen, it's gonna be a battle of who can outscore the other, because defensive wise and goalkeeping wise, I don't think both of us have any faith left in anyone. I mean, Beranvan's not awful, but it's the defending on Iran's part. I mean, we've got so many injuries that I think it's pretty much confirmed who's going to start. It's going to be probably Rezayan, Shoja Khalilzadeh, Kanani, and either one of Haj Safi or Milad Mohammedi. That I don't know. So it's not the ideal situation. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Kanani, but I missed him a lot against that game against Syria because Chishmi was awful. I don't want Chishmi to start a game ever again. And Shoja Khalilzadeh, I mean, he does get criticized a lot in the Iranian football community, but he's actually had a very, very good Asian Cup. I think he's been the best defender, except for Mohammadi. So he was a warrior in that game against Syria, man. Like he was limping on in that last second. I remember the guy like literally fell down because he couldn't walk. It was that bad. So that's cool to see. I hope they get the rest because the game is in 2 days, which is not a long time.
I
So
mean, that's for both teams. I was like, holy cow, we have a quick turnaround on this.
yeah, so the only way I see Iran getting something out of this is out of two scenarios. Number one, Japan have a brain fart that game, Costa Rica like. That's one. Second, if we can take the game to penalties, which I doubt will happen because our players are gonna die before that happens. Because you can do it against Syria, but against Japan, it's completely different. Then maybe we can get a win out of that. Or if we somehow, if Sardar Azmoun somehow, when I say somehow because it's not going to happen, turns into Captain Tsubasa and destroys the Japanese defense, which it will not happen, right? The key is Simon Gottos. That's the key part. I think he is the brains of this team. I want Nourizadeh to play. I don't want Mehdi Ghaedi, and he's too small. I think a player like Tomiyasu is just gonna push the guy. He's literally gonna die on the pitch. He's too short to play against a team like Japan. So I guess Torabi or Jahanbakhsh, whoever is gonna play. And as for Japan, I mean, I don't know who's gonna start at this point. I guess you're in a better position to say that.
We don't know. I mean, we were debating already. Will Mitoma get the start, or are they going to keep him on that bench and be like, all right, 65th minute, we need something. Let's put him on. These guys just ran for 120 minutes the other night. Actually, it's probably more like 130 minutes, right? Let's put on Mitoma and see how they go against our best attacker at this time, right? With this much weight on. And if we go to extra time, yeah, you guys get an extra 30 minutes of trying to defend Mitoma running at you, who's not at top form, but we got to remember his legs are fresh though. That's the
Just
killer.
close your eyes for a second and just imagine Kaoru Mitoma running down the lane against Shoja Khalilzadeh. Just what the hell, man? What have I done to deserve this?
I mean, I hate to say it, but you guys have to foul him, and I don't want to
Yeah,
see that too.
probably.
So, but say I have a lot of nerves going in this match in many ways. I think if we do go to penalties, I think Japan has a really poor form in penalty shootouts at top level tournaments. That's the one thing we can't afford. We have to make sure to finish this in regular or extra time. We can't go, hey, let's play for penalties. It's just not how this team's built, not how it works. So, Iran, to their, if they're smart, to their credit, they may try to, I won't say bunker the whole game, but we're going to probably see some bunkering. Let's see if we can ride them out for 45 minutes or so, and then we can start playing some counterattack smash ball. Hey, that's actually worked well against Japan. Vietnam got 2 on the counter. Why not give that a try? So as much as people say, oh, Japan's going to win this, I think there's still strategies and tactics you can use to counter Japan.
I don't think so. I don't think Amir Inoue has that figured out. I'm gonna give a 2-0 win, or maybe 3-0. I think it's gonna be a repeat. Oh, another thing. I pray to God the players don't lose their heads. We cannot afford to do that. I don't want Kanoni to run towards the ref like a 5-year-old, literally. And yeah, man. So
All right. Well, I actually think it's going to be Japan 2, Iran 1 or 0. I think either we're going to lock you down very well just because of the defensive nature of the match, or it's going to open up a little bit. I don't think Japan's going to get that carried away, but I will say this. If there is that Mitoma mismatch, and if they're finishing, which means you, Asano, not falling over when you have a free shot one-on-one with the keeper. You, Asano, not passing terribly instead of laying off to Mitoma, right? If their strikers and wingers are on top form, it could be very dangerous. I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they're trying to ramp up there. If they can get there, it'd be great, but I think it's going to be more of a 2-1, closer than we expect. Me biting my fingernails as Japan has to defend and Zion has to handle long shots coming in. The good thing is if you take the long shots, he's actually very proficient with those. So I think you do have to build in closer and try to score that way against him.
well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. We got some breaking news here on the Asian Football Show.
Breaking news.
There's just been a statement by the AFC regarding Ayman Hussein's expulsion against Jordan. So I'm gonna read it out here. So the explanation slash reasoning was, and Nick, I'm gonna read this to you. You're gonna react to this at the same time. So in adherence with the International Football Association board, he got a second yellow card in the 77th minute. And the reasoning behind this is he excessively delayed the restart of the game after scoring the goal. And during the players' celebrations, the referee strongly warned him 3 times before showing him the second yellow card. So that's what it is. And if that is the case, warning someone 3 times is asking for it in some way.
I mean, right, isn't it 3 strikes and you're out? He got essentially 4 strikes. Here's warning 1, here's warning 2. After warning 2, go back to the center circle. Then warning 3 came and the referee's like, all right, we're done. So, okay, I can see it. Didn't give him a straight red, gave him a yellow card, but ouch, that's a brutal way to go out. But I mean, if that's what they're saying and that's in the referee's report and they looked back through the match footage, I'm sure, then, I mean, I hate to say it. Sorry to our Iraqi friends, but he got cooked.
So that brings us to the last set of matches, Qatar against Palestine, who put a brilliant fight. Unfortunately, could not make it all the way. Qatar won the game 2-1, courtesy of Hassan Al-Haidos 45th plus 6-minute goal and a Akram Afif 49th minute penalty. Palestine's goal came from Odey Dabak, the man himself. And Akram Afif, this guy's been on, complete fire in this tournament. And leading up to this tournament, I wasn't giving Qatar anything. I thought they were just not good at all. I mean, when they had Carlos Queiroz and we had that feeling against them, we completely dominated them 4-0. And I mean, we didn't even let them do anything. But, they're putting out some results. I mean, they still have yet to face, a proper team. They're going to be facing Uzbekistan, who them won their game 2-1 against Thailand. We're going to get to that in a bit. Perhaps this is going to be Qatar's toughest opponent to date. And obviously the winner of that game is going to be facing either Iran or Japan, probably Japan. I'm just going to put it out there already. And yeah, 2-1. What do you think about the Qatar-Palestine game?
Oh, I mean, another heartbreaker. We thought, okay, Palestine, maybe they can do it. I didn't think they could do it even after they scored. I was like, Qatar's just going to be too much. We saw that they did, but yeah, I mean, what a performance, right? Um, and as you said, I can never pronounce his name, Ode,
Tabah.
there we go. See, now I'll get it better. I mean, he didn't transfer to Belgium for nothing. You got to remember, Mitoma was playing in that same league recently. A lot of these Japanese quote unquote stars who have emerged in the recent years are getting a start in Belgium. So I think it was a great place for him to be playing. He's done pretty well there. I got like 4 goals so far, I think, in his appearances. But if he can keep developing, this could be quite the talent. And he's pretty big too, right? He's like 6 feet tall, right? 182 centimeters, right? Big, plays well, good forward. I mean, I like to see where he's going. And hopefully this means Palestine will continue to be a strong team. Qatar, though, is just too much for them. They have too good of a setup, too much, I hate to say it, they have too much money invested to lose to Palestine in some sense. Afif, I think people have varying thoughts on him. I've watched him many times in person because, I've spent time in Doha and I watch the Qatar Stars League religiously when I'm there in person. I go to every match I can, which is a lot. And he's very impressive in the Stars League. He's been very impressive for the national team. I've watched the national team play several times. But I still think he doesn't quite have what it takes at the next level. Um, I think this is a team that can still win the cup. And we can talk about that more, but it's sort of a case they can win the cup if all the things go right.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I would love to see Akram Afif. I don't know if it's too late for him. I'd love to see him in Europe, man. I don't know what he's still doing in the Qatar Stars because I think like he'd do well in like I mean, obviously not a big team, but like a mid-table, I don't know, Bundesliga or no, Bundesliga wouldn't be good for him. Like a mid-table like La Liga team, something like that would be nice for him, in my opinion. But
I mean, get him minutes at like, I won't say Villarreal, but I mean, and it used to be like my go-tos used to be like Villarreal and Real Sociedad, but no, they're they're battling for something now, right? But he could have gone to like a Mallorca like Lee did. That's a place where they need a fast winger, right? To replace Lee after he left. Why not give him a shot, right?
so that brings us on to the final game between Uzbekistan and Thailand. To be honest, I'm even surprised Thailand is here with all the things that went for them before the Asian Cup. I mean, they were like the least prepared team. They put on a fight, man. I was not expecting that. In Uzbekistan, them not having Eldor Shomurodov is massive, massive. You can see it. They're not playing as well as they usually should be, but they do have a savior in Abozbek Fazulayev. This guy, man, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of top European teams come knocking at the door for this guy because he has been incredible. I love the guy. Definitely deserves to be playing in a better team, but no disrespect to Moscow. It is what it is. They won the game 2-1 against Thailand, a Thai team that, like I said, I think everyone was expecting them to do a lot worse. They had a 0-0 draw against Oman and a 0-0 draw against Saudi Arabia. That's a big one. And they won against Kyrgyzstan. So it wasn't as bad as, what people were saying, including me. And I want to know what your take on this is. There's been a lot of players in that Thai team that didn't play in the Asian Cup that should be playing. We had that whole debacle. I forgot what his name was, but the one that plays for, was it Urawa Red Diamonds, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't get called up because just a lot of stuff going that not going their way. But they held their own. I guess they can be proud of that. I think Masatada Ishii did a great job with this team. And I think it will only make them better if things go right, if there's no idiotic decisions like they did pre-Asian Cup. and Katanich is Uzbekistan. Everyone says they're the underdogs, or the white wolves, as they say. I think that's their nickname. Can they go all the way? What do you think?
I remember the days where the only way to consume Asian football in the US was coming home and watching Fox Soccer, which is a channel that most people didn't have. And on Friday afternoons at about 3:30 or 4 p.m. Central Time, they had Asian Football Weekly or whatever it was called. And that would be the one place where I could see the review of matches in the previous week. And it was at that time I remember that, some of these Uzbeki teams were doing very well in the Asian Champions League. And then the what's their name? Paktakor, right? The Tashkent, right? They were a very strong team. So it doesn't surprise me when Uzbekistan plays well. I think this current team is good. They have a lot of talent. I don't think they have every piece of talent they need to win. That's I think the honest reality right now is they're getting there, but they still have some problems in multiple positions. And, the ages, it's sort of strange. They have either this cohort that are close to 30 or this cohort that's close to 20 within their squad. It's like there's not too many who are like in between. So there's a little bit of a generational gap that I see there, and that they're putting it together. I think the worrisome part is in 4 years, that top echelon of older players are going to retire. Will they have enough new players who will be able to step in? That's a problem, I think, for their future. But for right now, looking good, right? Able to advance within the Asian Cup. Granted, Thailand, not the hardest of matchups, especially with everything that's gone on. Thailand still played well, much better than I thought they would, just as you said. I hate to say it, Uzbekistan does not. I don't think they have much of a chance against Qatar. Maybe I'll be proved wrong, but I think Qatar is going to just overwhelm them in this match.
I actually will disagree on the youth part of the Uzbekistan side. I mean, we've seen that they do have the youth teams. I think they won the under-20 Asian Cup, was it? Or
Yes.
under 17. I don't remember what it was. One of them. They do have the young talent. Now, whether they're going to be integrated into the main team, that's a different, that's a different or a different topic. But they do have some of the young players. We've got the Hoseiny guy who plays for Lens in France. There's also this one guy who I forgot his name, who got transferred to Brentford yesterday. So we're starting to see Uzbek football slowly growing, perhaps into the eyes of the general public, which can only mean good things, right? You don't really get any negative stuff out of that. But if they keep on doing what they are doing in terms of youth, football, I think the progression will be quite good. I think it's definitely a team that's going to be, for example, qualifying for the World Cup in 2026. I think with those extra slots, I think they have what it takes to get in. I think the Qatar game is going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what most people think. It's just them not having Shomurodov is insane. I mean,
this is the problem. If he's there, I think I say this is going to be a well fought equal match. But I think his absence is just a little too much. He is, I think, that next level player right now for them. As we've seen, he's been performing. Isn't he in talks right now for Roma?
He's not with Roma. I think he's with Cagliari, if I'm not mistaken.
No. It was leaked this morning. Roma's in talks for him.
Oh, to get him again?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't read that. That's weird. That's very weird.
Not to get him again. I think he's on loan, right? So I think they're in talks to loan him out again or to sell him. It's I forgot who is it, like Salernitana. I can never pronounce their name. This is where the Asian football show where Nick,
it's Ribery's old team. I know.
Yes. I think they're actually trying to make a move for him. So it wasn't Roma. That's right. Roma's trying to finally, I think, be done with him, but he's going out. But his injury, his lack of participation, I mean, he's had some good seasons. He had good seasons with Genoa. He's had good season, and not with Roma so much. But I think he had this up and coming ability. He looks good. Strong, powerful, tall striker. Exactly the type of striker who would have given trouble to Qatar. I think Qatar's weakness isn't in their back line. I'll be honest, from watching the Qatari Stars League, their defending lacks in many ways. And so he would present a lot of problems to them. I think the big thing is you can't do what Japan did and underestimate Qatar, right? Likewise, Qatar can't go in and underestimate Uzbekistan because they do have enough talent that they could come in and pull something off. But I still think Qatar's going to come in. They're hosts. They want to prove something, especially after their World Cup outing. I think going out now would still be a very big disappointment to them. I think they have to make the finals in their mind, but it's a tough bracket.
So that's that for the round of 16. Moving on to the quarterfinals, guys. We're going to be coming back with another episode when those games are covered. Hopefully I won't be depressed by then. We're going to move on now to some of the transfers or transfer rumors and such. I mean, with the transfer window coming to an end, the winter one, that is, there's been a few deals. We've just talked about Shomurodov potentially joining Salernitana. Apparently it's very, very close. There are a few Iranians that have been moving on to some European clubs. A lot of Japanese players moving on as well. Not so sure about South Korea. I think a few of them have. You probably know that more than I do, though. I guess I'll go first, right? You want to start with the Japanese players, or you want to start with the Iranian players? You're the guest.
I want to start with the Iraqi players.
Iranian, you mean?
No, Iraqi.
Iraqi. Oh, there's an Iraqi player. Oh,
I think this is actually what's his name? Ali Al Hamadi, who plays for Wimbledon.
yes. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Not anymore, right? That's a jump, right? He's gone from Wimbledon, right, which is in League Two, so fourth division, to championship with Ipswich. He's been that good. Like I know multiple not board members, but long-term supporters of Wimbledon. It's actually part of our soccer tour that we do every year. We take our students. One of the places we go to is Wimbledon. So we pay a lot of attention to that club, and he has literally pushed them to a different level this year.
This is I mean, this is make or break it for him. It's gonna show whether what he's done in League Two is for nothing or not. It's gonna show it. If he does well for Ipswich, he's gonna be on to bigger things, right? Because if you do well in the championship, you usually tend to get offers from multiple big leagues around the world. It's a good move for him. I'm happy. I hope he does well.
I'm okay. Maybe I was just like my brain emptied out or something. But why is he not with the national team?
He got called up. He got called up for a national team. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, Jesus Casas, the Iraqi manager, actually called up a lot of I wouldn't say dual nationals. He's not really a dual national, but I would say, I mean, I think he's had I think he scored a goal during World Cup qualifiers. I don't remember who it was against, but he's with the national team now.
But no, I mean, was he with them for Asian Cup?
Yeah, he played one game and it was against Vietnam.
Okay, because like I didn't really see him playing, and I was sort of confused. I thought he would get more time based on his form.
He was on the bench for. I mean, at the same time, Ayman Hussein is doing everything, so
yes,
it's understandable.
But why not bring someone else out to help him, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't get in situations, hopefully, where you get sent off for excessive celebration. But no, I think that's actually one of the big transfers, because I think that is one of the ones that people really aren't paying attention to, but I mean, he's 21 years old. Like if he smashes it in the championship, he could be 22, 23 in a Premier League club. Especially right if I mean, based on how Ipswich's form is, right, he could even go up with them in the future. So
we got some more breaking news.
Oh,
I don't know how reliable this is. It's coming from France. Apparently, the Japanese Federation have changed their mind about Junya Ito, and he's going to be reinstated and stay. I don't know how true that is. I don't know what's going on. If that's true, if that's true, what do you think about that? Your Twitter is going to go crazy over this.
I'm not a fan of it. It seems like they can't even make a decision, right?
Yeah.
it's like what's going on here? And I think the federation needed to do the right thing, and we don't know whether he's guilty or not, but they needed to take a stand that while this investigation was going, he shouldn't be with the national team. I understand it's during the Asian Cup. Um, it's difficult to make that decision, but to say he's going home and then all of a sudden he's back, yeah, it puts a cloud over everything. I don't like it. Is any player that important that we should just ignore what's going on in the background? I don't think that's the case.
I
And
don't. Do you think he's gonna start any games for this, or I mean, he didn't play again. Did he play against Bahrain? No, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he
no,
played the
he
minutes.
didn't play against Bahrain. They said it was a condition issue. I see people online making excuses. Oh, he just had a stomach cramp, blah, 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 blah. No, there's a clear reason why he was held out is because they're investigating and figuring out what happened. Remember that this incident, if it did happen, happened during national team duty. It happened
Yeah.
after one of the matches. So, I mean, the national team has to be directly involved in this. I'm not seeing anything from the Japanese newspapers right now. I'm in all the Japanese various
Yeah, I'm not sure how reliable it is. I mean,
publications.
it's all over my Twitter feed right now. I don't know what's going on. Um, but I guess we'll get answers when it actually does happen, right? I guess we're just gonna have to wait a few days. If it is true, it is disappointing. I do agree. Um, but that also may mean that Twitter is going crazy.
Okay.
It probably does mean that he's probably not gonna get any minutes, right? Um,
No, no.
anyways, moving on. Let's move on from that.
Yes.
I guess I'll go with the Iranian players. There's not much news. I guess the biggest one would be Alaya Sayed Manesh, who hasn't had the best of times at Hull City, but somehow managed to move to a team in Belgium in Westerlo, which I'm surprised that a team even wanted him with how poor he's been form wise. I know there's been a lot of debate on whether he should have even been called up to the national team, which I think he should have. We need someone like him. That's a debate for another day. So he's going to be playing in Belgium, and I think there's like 7 or 9 games left in the Belgian Pro League. So I hope he gets all the minutes he can because he's a very talented player, and it's a waste. Frankly, it's a very big waste if he doesn't get minutes. That's that for the first Iranian player. And the second Iranian player off the top of my head would be Saeed Mehri, who joined Cypriot Giants. What is it called? Apoel, I think that's how you say the name. You know what I'm talking about, right? The badge, the
Yes.
white badge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we're talking right now, he actually got an assist. They're playing right now. He just got an assist off of his debut, 5 minutes in. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's nothing amazing, but that's cool to add. I think that's that for the Iranian players. So I'm not mistaken if there's anyone else. Oh, how can I forget? Taremi, apparently, him and Inter is already done. Now, I'm not going to say anything until I see this guy with an Inter kit. And Osmoon was also linked with Sevilla and stuff, but I don't think anything's gonna happen. So that's that for your national team. I'm gonna let you take on for the Japanese players because I know there's a lot, and you're probably happy about it as well.
There's a few. I'm gonna only just talk about a couple of them, but we do have, I will call the Belgian Pro League Japan Derby today, which is Saint Trudian versus Ghent. Remember the Japanese goalkeeper Daniel Schmidt has transferred from Saint Trudian to Ghent on a free transfer over this window. So that'll be interesting. And then at the same time, Daisuke Yokota, I think he transferred out of what their name, Gornik Zabrez or whatever, and then he's gone to Ghent. The big one, I think there's actually two big ones. One is they're both ones for the future. One is Daiki Hashioka has left Saint Trudian and has joined Luton. So, right, we have another Japanese player coming to the Premier League. We'll see if he actually stays in the Premier League with how Luton is. We'll see if he likes enjoying the as some people in the UK say, you're playing an airport, not a Premier League team. But hopefully he'll get playing time there. I think he will, just based on everything that's going on. But I think it'll take some time to integrate. I think Luton's trying to pull a Brighton, finding a Japanese guy from Belgium who they think can change their fortunes somewhat. We'll see if that actually is the reality. Oh, we can't forget Bayern
Oh, Taishi Fukui. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very weird one for me because, as a Bayern fan, like, we are in a situation. I'm sure you guys have heard about the injury crisis. We're in a situation where, like, we need all the depth. I don't get why you'd loan out a player like that. I mean, granted, he might not play, but I wouldn't risk it. I mean, with the injuries we're getting, I wouldn't even be surprised if we would need him at some point. So hopefully it's something that we won't regret. Portimonense is as someone who watches the Portuguese league, is a side.
Yeah.
They're not amazing, but the record for Japanese players in the Portuguese league in
But
general, I would say
why would he go there?
face Toremi.
No. Who's their goalkeeper?
Oh, Nakamura. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, at first I was like, why is he going? Oh, right. Put him with a Japanese teammate who's older, who's also with the national team,
Yeah.
right? Get his head straight, get him playing, get good minutes in Portugal. You know what? Bayern, maybe they finally have a season where they don't do it. That's fine. I think they're still gonna win it. I see the badge. I see the badge, Mr. Having a Union Berlin shirt even more prominent in the background.
It's
But
signed. It's signed. There's a story behind this.
I know I've watched the video. I've
Uh-huh.
watched the video with your prime bottles on the shelf, which I give you crap for every time. Are they
Still
still there?
still there.
Still there. Awesome. But no, I think it's a good developmental move for Bayern. I don't like, let's be honest, I don't think he makes a difference this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
But why not have him make a difference in future seasons if he's really that good? Or figure out if you're just wasting a roster slot and then sell him off, right? Figure out what needs to happen with his future and do it. I won't say right away, but this is a step towards figuring that out. Um, Bayern is not in, but then I'll do the counterpoint to that. Bayern's not in such a situation they really need to be doing that. If they're a Premier League club, they would need to be doing that, especially with the new financial rules in the Premier League, which is why you're going to start seeing a lot of these places, a lot of teams like Luton bringing in Daiki Hashioka, a cheap, low, pretty bargain price that I think they're hoping if he doesn't turn out as great as we want, we'll still be able to sell him at a profit.
Yeah. I agree with that. Is there anything else? We've talked to Shomurodov things. I'm trying to think. Is there any Korean players that have moved to Europe? Oh, we've got that Uzbek player who moved to Brentford as well. Probably not going to be playing with the main team, but that's still pretty cool. Trying to think if there's anyone else.
There is a, I don't know within Europe, but I think uh, there's a couple. Sung Ho Pak joined Birmingham.
Yeah.
And what's his name? He went to Partizan.
Um,
Uh,
I know who you're
um,
talking about. I forgot his name too.
Yongjin Go, I think,
Oh,
went
yeah.
to Partizan. So, good moves, especially I think for Yongjin Go. He's a younger player, still in his early 20s. So I think that's a good one. Another good potential attacking Korean midfielder. It's what can I say? I think they have a wealth of talent in that position. So it's also difficult if you're a young Korean attacking midfielder and you're sitting behind Lee. You better go to Europe if you want to even have a shot at hoping to play with him or replace him someday.
I agree. I agree. So that's pretty much it for the transfer stuff. I mean, it hasn't been there's not like any big moves. I would say Hashioka to Luton Town is probably the biggest one, or I guess Taremi to Inter if you count that, which I wouldn't. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this podcast. It's been a very long one compared to the others, which those are the type of podcasts that I like. Erfan is not here to drag me down on this. Erfan, which by the way, he's currently in Qatar and for the Asian Cup. So we're gonna have some exclusive stuff coming out from there. So make sure to follow us on Twitter as well as on YouTube. Subscribe to us and make sure to follow Nick as well on social media. So where can we find you on?
You can find me at Watanabe. That's Watanabe, the number 2 and the letter K, where you can see me post way too much Japanese football and FIFA memes all day long. Occasionally, you might actually see some of my real job jump into Twitter, which is doing research on soccer, actually. So I'm actually working. Hopefully soon you'll get to see it. A big project, a series of projects on highly important research questions in football. So
Very,
um,
very interesting. And sometimes you might even find him making fun of me. Unfortunately, it's a little, it's a, reoccurrence.
I can guarantee the listeners of this podcast this. By Saturday at what, 9 a.m. Central Time, by that time, 50% of this podcast will be depressed. We don't
Man,
know which 50%.
yeah, because there's gonna be the games. Yeah, so that's that. Make sure to follow us on everything. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was one
Thank
that
you
was
for having me.
overdue.
It's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, we were planning on having you a lot earlier, but like I said, because with Erfan traveling to Doha and stuff, it's been very shaky a lot. We don't have the same time zones too, so it's very difficult. So we're trying to have a lot more guests on, and this is a good opportunity to do so. So thank you so much for joining in, Nick. Really appreciate it. And I hope, sincerely hope Iran wins on Saturday, so I can have some sort of happiness in life.
You
And
have Bayern. Bayern's going to come back. Give me some happiness. I have Arsenal. Come on. I need a
well, which
title in
mean
my life.
you
I need a title in my life.
you have Kai Havertz. That's better than a title. You don't need anything else.
That's true. I get to look at him. I'll digress 1 second. His FIFA left back card is still the best left back in the game this year. It's
Yes,
such a good
sir.
card.
All right,
Use the
see you
card.
guys. Oh yeah, see you guys in the next one. Nick, thank you again, and
Thank you.
we'll see you in the next one. Peace.